where on our forest, including Helena, Lewis, and Clark, where we will say there's areas that are that meet the guidelines for wilderness inventory. What that means, it does not mean we're designating wilderness. We can't designate wilderness. That's an act of Congress. And so when our proposed action comes out, there'll be places, and the bill specifically, there'll be places where we'll designate areas that we think are suitable for wilderness inventory. And that's basically where it stays. And then from that perspective, then the public will be involved, and you can provide comments saying, well, we think it should be, we think it shouldn't be. And when the NEPA is done, which is I think 2018, 2019 is when Bill will sign a decision. At that point, Bill will make a final decision that says, we're gonna leave these areas as designated for probable wilderness. But it doesn't designate them. I probably shouldn't use the word designated. It'll be included as areas suitable for wilderness, but we don't formally designate it. So for example, we have Mount Baldy has an area that is already suitable for wilderness from the 1986. It's been sitting there for 30 years. Congress never acted on it. They've never came and said, we want to take this and make it a wilderness. So that's, I'm probably muddying the waters, but basically from our forest plan revision process, we'll have areas where we'll say they are suitable for wilderness, and they'll be listed on our forest plan as areas suitable for wilderness, but they do not become formally designated until Congress does that. If that makes sense.
So you're saying it's an act of Congress
Yep.
to declare or
Yes.
designate wilderness?
Yes, it is.
So you're saying it's an act of Congress to designate wilderness?
Yes.
You've repeated this a dozen times, and there are still those who just are not clear on that, so I just want to make sure it's really
And
clear.
I do want to clarify though, that if through our process, we have an area that says it's suitable for wilderness, with our management, we will keep that suitability up front to try to manage it, to keep it suitable, if that makes sense. So that's probably where a little bit of the questions come into place. It's not technically designated as wilderness, but if we've said in our forest plan that it's suitable, then in general, we're not gonna go build a bunch of roads, and we're we're gonna try to keep it suitable, if that makes
So
sense.
you're basically managing it wilderness, even though it's technically not proposed wilderness.
It's proposed, yeah, not necessarily. I mean, we're not gonna manage it as, we're not gonna go start putting wilderness signs up there or anything like that. We're gonna
Right,
try
I
to
should say, I shouldn't say management, because I mean, wilderness, you have a restriction on what you can and can't do in a
Sure.
wilderness area, and that doesn't apply unless it actually is wilderness.
Exactly. Those 5 guiding principles, and I can contact more information, provide you with more information, but if it comes out as a suitable for wilderness in the proposed action, and Bill signs that in his decision, then, we'll try to keep those characteristics intact. But it's still not technically wilderness until Congress does that.
All right,
And
thank you.
again, we've had proposed wilderness in the Big Belts for over 30 years, and nothing's happened to them. They're still proposed wilderness. Sorry, Nick, go ahead. You're gonna ask a question.
No, I think you just answered it, you're good,
Okay.
thank you.
But it's a tough conversation.
It is, I just want to make sure that the facts are there. So, yeah, you provided that
Okay.
perfectly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, as we get, sorry.
I do have a question.
Sure.
So if it's proposed and does that change responsibilities if there's a fire up there or anything of that nature?
Yes and no. It kind of depends on where it gets designated at, or I shouldn't say designated, where it gets proposed at. A lot of these landscapes, and I'll use the belts again for an example, those are going to be really hard landscapes for us to get into anyways, just for
Sure.
firefighter safety. And so, and David can chime in here immediately, but just because it's proposed wilderness, that might lean more favorable that we'll let fire act the way that it's supposed to. So if we get a natural caused fire up on top of Baldy Mountain or something, lightning caused fire, if it's proposed wilderness, then that may have us, we may let that fire just kind of do what it wants. We're gonna back out and look more at private land down in the Wooey or something like that. It doesn't necessarily mean black or white, yes or no.
Okay.
And again, correct me if I'm wrong, David, because you deal with.
In past fires up in the proposed wilderness area up in the Belts, the Birch Creek Basin, to be specific, we've suppressed the fires that have been up there. We've landed helicopters in there to do retrieval of personnel, and we've also used chainsaws during fire suppression actions and kind of stuff. in a normal designated wilderness by Congress, you wouldn't be doing that. You'd do
Okay.
cross-cut saws. A lot of times you'd manage fire for the ecosystem, allow fire to play its natural role, and so on. And landing a helicopter would be approval from the forest supervisor, those type of things. So it's still that, it's not designated, so, you know, you're not building roads into it, but yet, it's a smaller landscape, so allowing fire to play its natural role would be a little more difficult, because of, in a burn period or two burn periods, it could move out of that area onto private,
Okay.
and so on.
Thank you.
That's a good clarification, even the non-fire side, even if it's proposed wilderness, from a recreation perspective, we can still go clear trails out with a chainsaw. Even though it's proposed, it doesn't put on those requirements, like David said. If it is wilderness, we have to use a cross saw to really do that kind of work.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
so on that note, I'm gonna pass it over to David, just for folks who don't know our mess, David Nunn's our fire management officer for the Townsend, Helena Ranger districts. Just thought maybe David could provide us an opportunity on kind of how we're looking for the fire season this summer, our seasonals that we have coming on, the engines, that kind of stuff, any kind of burning activities we may have in Martin Luther County. And instead of hearing it from me, it makes more sense to hear it from David. So I'm gonna shut up.
From our standpoint, we'll have two fully staffed engine modules here at the Townsend District, two Type 6 engines. With that complement, it'll be about 10 to 12 seasonals that we'll hire, which are, some of them are already on. Starting, we'll have those all the way into the fall, October, November, working out on the forest. So we'll run into 7-day coverage, which will have 2 engines staffed for 7 days a week, starting in July, usually July 1st or so. And our Forest Service helicopter will come on. It comes on first part of July, so it'll be on through October. It has a new little complement to it. It has the ability to do a short haul kind of a program. So if there is a medical emergency from a firefighter standpoint or a forest worker, they can go in there and retrieve that person from with an EMT on the bottom of it's on a line on the bottom of a helicopter, a short haul program to extract them out of the forest. So it's a little quicker based on that. So we're trying that. That's been the first year that we have that capabilities. And that can extend over into our partners with the blessing of the forest supervisor, looking at, you know, our needs and the public's needs, or firefighting needs at the time. But we can extend over with the right delegation. Jay Lindgren, our aviation officer, is working on some of that with the sheriff's office and fire, and starting to build some of those MOUs. So,
Real quick on that, so on the short haul, to clarify though, this is the first time in the agency we've been able to do this.
we've had we're one of the 2 startups. Tucson's the other one. The National Park Service has been doing it for quite some time. They do it for the public more than anybody else. We will not be doing it for the public. We'll be doing it for our own forest workers, firefighting, cooperative agencies. And then a lot of our crews, when they're not on fires, will be out. We have a lot of mechanical units, slashing that we're looking at. Some up in Pole Creek for aspen release, and some for wildlife habitat. They're going to be up there, and then Cabin Gulch for some of the hazardous fuels and beetle issues up there. They'll be slashing, and we'll start our burning up in Cabin Gulch as conditions allow. This last snowstorm and kind of rains kind of set us back a little bit on there, but we have crews up there working right now to make sure the control lines are in, prepping your units, doing pullback along boundaries to make sure that when you do prescribe fire, it stays within the unit boundaries. So those crews are doing that. We do actually have a engine module that is out over in North Dakota, kind of goes into where the fire season started. A little drier out there, so they've had crews out there for the last probably month or so working on wildfires out there in North Dakota. A group out of Helena is in Wisconsin helping with burning. We've had crews down in the southwest helping, or southeast down in Mississippi, so burning too. So we had a good jump start to the season. From that standpoint, we probably, if we do put a fire on the ground for smoke and so on, we We have a contact list, we contact all the local residents, sheriff's office, local fire chiefs, and also then, that's another call out, so you guys know, county commissioners, so if folks are getting calls, health department, they kind of know what it's from, 911 dispatch, make sure we have a bird permit in, and so on, so these folks know what we're doing, and getting that out, we put us up in the paper, and we'll continue to give updates as things progress, so. That's kind of the big push for our spring season, and then as we go into fire season, we kind of have a handout for you guys of kind of what it's looking like and kind of what plays into fire season. And that, a lot of that plays into kind of how we came out of last season, kind of our live foliar moisture, our tree moisture, and our fuels that are on the ground, especially our beetle kill and what moisture levels are in. Kind of coming into this fall, we are kind of in a little bit of an existing drought, not too bad for this area. Mostly Idaho, Oregon, Washington, as most people saw with the fire behavior we had over there. Kind of was the big push, and so they were a little drier than what we were. So we came into the near average this fall, kind of from the Continental Divide, including us, over to the west of Montana. And then the eastern Montana kind of went into a little drier conditions than below average for precip. So, and then the big player is what we have for snowpack, and a lot of that is especially as snowpack comes off. The faster it comes off, the quicker the green up, the quicker the drying of the fine fields and grass. So we had pretty good snowpack, especially snow water content. The depth of the snow wasn't as deep as it usually is, but the snow water content was good for around this area. Once you get to Wolf Creek and up by Shoto, Augusta, the Rocky Mountain front, really went down. It went from 100% down to 73% of normal average. And we saw that especially in the Cabin Creek, Elk Hills fire area up there. There had a 1,000-acre fire up on the front just 2 weeks ago. So that kind of ties into what we're seeing is the early snow departure, the higher temps, and so on. So that plays into it. And then of course, the spring, it's always up in the air what's going to come forward in spring for moisture. This is when we start getting our seasonal May and June usually precip-wise makes kind of what our fire season is going to be. And so on, of course, through July and so on, and we're getting what we get for fire start. So kind of what we're seeing, as we go through the packet, what it kind of brings out into it, just kind of the overall, our future fire season is kind of supposed to be, we go through a three-year cycle. So 2012 was a big year, 2015, and so we usually go for a couple of years. Our fire season's in a lull, and we pick back up. And a lot of that is climate, El Nino, those type of things, Pacific oscillation, how our weather patterns come through, and that's what really ties to a lot of that. So, for our area, is going to be kind of near normal. For precip, we're supposed to be a little above for the temperature, but average for precip. As you get up, the hot spots for at least around here are going to be the Yellowstone area is supposed to be a little above normal for temperatures and below normal precip, and same thing for the Rocky Mountain front. And they're already kind of going into that drought phase already. So those are the two areas that are going to get kind of what they predict potential for more severity of fires. Kind of thing. They're calling for us, you see on that one-page thoughts for the fire season, pretty normal for what, 92, 98, 2010, which were pretty slow years for us around here. Can't say it can't happen, but it's kind of going to be that is what they're predicting is that normal. Other areas is of course Alaska, the Southwest, and when those fires they start picking up in those areas, then our resources go that way with our aviation, our call when needed helicopters and engines and stuff. So if we start getting fires, it's going to be harder for us to get resources because they're already tied up in some of those areas and so on. So that really plays into, especially as we move resources around, we look at that as a bigger scale. So our severity what is our outlook for long-term weather? Are we getting lightning coming in before we allow our resources to go off area? We kind of look at other resource areas and what our protection are, or for is around this area. And so our drawdown plan is what we call it. So if we see in a high severity potential for, you know, fires around this area, we'll keep more resources local, to help protect the values at risk around here. So that's kind of goes through, you know, kind of the precip and temperature and drought and everything. And the biggest player that talked to a lot of the meteorologists that come into play is how quick our snowpack comes off. And you can kind of see on the 7-day temperature summary that how kind of the red is the hottest around here. And you can kind of see, as you saw in the Elkhorn, it was kind of holding the snow, and then within 2 or 3 days, you can see rocks, and we're seeing that. So the snow is slowly coming off, and then it kind of came off rather quickly.
Right now, the only snow you got in Elkhorns are, you look like Crow Peak, Hill, Crow Peak.
And what we've seen real, you know, for especially our prescribed burns is that green ups come a little early, so it's a point where all the dead grass, and you see a lot more green and you see brown, so it won't carry fire right now, but the quicker it comes, usually means the quicker it dries out. And so that it usually causes for earlier fire seasons, and that's what you're seeing out in eastern Montana, some of that. It's been dry and got the precip, they have that early fire season, and that green up comes and it kind of goes. And that's what around here is a lot of the same thing, is depending on what kind of grass growth we get, those fine fuels to carry the fire, if we get a lightning start. So that's kind of where we're at, coming into the season. We're still working on with the DNRC for the helicopters. So right now, as it's life to use the DNRC helicopters, the white helicopters, for if we have a fire on federal ground. We'll be kind of working with the fire chief if it's threatening any private lands or any life or any kind of thing, then we can utilize those state helicopters. Federal, as in federal BLM Forest Service, we cannot fly on them. They're not carded for that, but we can use them for things, exactly what we did out here last year on the fire outside of the Limestone Hills. Started on private, moved on to BLM, but the helicopter was working directly for Ed and so on to help protect the private land values, kind of stuff that started on it. So we'll have the same agreement. As it sits right now, the Department of Defense, the Montana Army National Guard Limestone Hills Training Center, right now they have their own, you know, it's their fire protection. Right now we're not in agreement with them for any fire protection at this time. So I know they sent out a training schedule, and I think that of what their firing is going to be like. And I think right now they're kind of in conversations and negotiations with Broadwater County for fire protection. So, but as we told Ed, you know, we fall into mutual aid. If Ed needs help, no matter where it is in the county, and they're out of resources, that's when we come into play, out of mutual aid. And we've had an excellent working relationship with Ed, and willing to help wherever we can in our capabilities.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Well,
Question. Was Forest Service doing some burn, this kind of, I guess, more Lewis and Clark County, but was there like a fire up in Lewis and Clark County somewhere last week, or
We've
maybe
been-
York area or something like that?
We've been burning in the Grizzly Gulch off the Show Me the Horse Trail. We've done about 300 acres up there. And then we had a burn that we did up in the York, Jimtown area, about 90 acres, right off the York and Jimtown Road. And then we've had a few fires that we've gone to that there was some private land right next to some of our burning that the pile was completely extinguished after the snowstorm got back up, and so we was able to extinguish that. So, but yeah, we've been actively burning a lot of that dead ponderosa pine, lodgepole pine stands, trying to reduce some of the dead and down. Yeah, so.
Thank you.
any other questions for Dave? All right, we still have Mike and Ed. You guys,
Ed, you wanna talk about that?
Go for it.
Sure.
you could have stayed up here.
Let him know.
This is the hot seat? As David said, the Limestone Hills training area, the Forest Service does not have a lead on that anymore. The National Guard's working with the district, the fire district, to take that on, but, like David said too, our working relationship with the Forest Service, they've already talked to me and said that they will be right beside me when we're up there doing that stuff, so.
Make sure you call them. Right, mutual aid.
Right. That's what we always call it. We've been getting ready for the season, getting our trucks and stuff ready to go, so we're ready to go. We have had a few fires here, a few small ones, and it is burning in the green grass too. It's really slow, but it is burning already, so, or it was before this rain and snow, so. The potential is there. It's gonna keep raising in the elevation as the snow and moisture dissipates out of it. I've been traveling around. This year I went to Virginia and got another truck from the DOD, and I went to Colorado Springs last week and picked up another truck. So I keep getting those trucks from military surplus. And the one we're gonna turn into a tender to replace an older truck that we have here in town. And the other one I'm gonna make a slip-on unit. It's a 4-wheel drive, 2-ton truck, so we'll have a bigger truck that we can get up into the hills with. And on this trip down to Colorado, I did end up, on the way down, the NRC called me about a couple more items to pick up while I had the truck down there. So I ended up with a Bobcat 2 skid steer, so.
Nice.
And that's staying here. So, yeah, I didn't get the tools they wanted, but they had too many of those, so. As far as everything else, we did pick up 9 new members this spring. So we're growing in numbers, but there's an awful lot of people that are getting to the retirement age, and they're getting, with the new members, I think I'm gonna see a few more of them retire, so. We're still running around between 50 and 60 members for the whole county, so it's looking good. We've been through some trainings, we've got some more lined up. We'll just keep going ahead like usual. Questions?
Questions, Fred? No, 9 new members though, that's impressive.
Yes. That
Yeah.
was very nice to see.
Nicely done.
Hopefully listen to it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ed. Mike, I guess you get the hot seat.
I do. I hope I'll get out here real soon. Getting late. Ed's doing a great job, real hard, he's doing a great job. And try to partner with him. Just briefly, I want to run over here, let's see, leadership on the, you guys can answer what you want. Leadership coordination meeting. Edmund Dan's gonna be over to school Wednesday, May 4th. And then remind you about Northwest Energy, having that 2-day thing down there at the exercise, Edmund Dam exercise. And on the back of this handout, there's a little bit more information on our leadership conference meeting, our coordination meeting, and we have some lunch there. I hope to get done in about an hour, kind of scheduled for an hour and a half. What we're gonna do is just kind of go through our response plan for major flood and our evacuation plan. And talk a little bit about the roles and responsibilities. As a community, we've invited most of our partners to that. And please fit the guidelines. I mean, that's great. Appreciate it. Try to get lunch in Department of Transportation as well. Yeah. And May is gonna be Wildfire Awareness Month. And really, this is our evacuation kind of guidance we've had with Force, sort of emergency operations plan. We put that together a few years ago, and I gave it to Win, asking if he wanted to review it. So we're kind of going through a little review process. Talks about, we're going to hand this out to teams that come in. This is a product of the 2000 fire season. Conflicts with landowners, as you can call national parks. So I just wanted to give it to the commission, you guys can look at it, discussion next month. And we're going to spend some of that Title III money coming up for newspaper ads and stuff on all of our awareness. Partnership there is with NRC, keep trying to get landowners ready for fire season. You don't have to look forward to it.
Yeah.
So, on the 17th and 18th, is that something that we need to
I
attend?
think you've been invited for that.
Yes, I have.
Yes, that'd be great. What they're gonna do that first day, nobody's gonna motel up, we're just gonna drive down.
Okay.
They have a tabletop exercise, and they're gonna tell us about how they would respond to the plan. The 3 counties are gonna be there,
Okay.
Madison, Gallatin, and Broadwater County.
Perfect.
I think Seth's going, the head dispatcher, I believe, I don't know who else is representing, the sheriff's office. Then on the second day, we're actually gonna go functional, they're gonna actually send messages, we'll each have our own little booth in a conference room, and they'll be calling us on the telephone and saying such and such things happening in Broadwater County. We'll give out some more stuff, kind of explain it more at our leadership meeting on the 4th.
Okay.
How those work. If you've never participated in one, it's a great opportunity to participate. They're gonna take care of us, feed us there and stuff like that. But none of us are motel up because it's such a short distance.
Right.
Just a good opportunity. There's gonna be Montana DES, National Guard, Red Cross, then all the 3 counties, and MDT. And we're gonna talk about how would we respond as a dam fails. And we'll go through it hour by hour, and then there'll be a jump at 2, 3, 4 hours at a time. They'll have maps and everything, just like I will on Wednesday. And I'll have little books to hand out to you, and kind of give us our game plan. If I'm to ask questions, kind of look at it and see if that's what we want to do, and everybody understand the role of sheriff and search and rescue. Invited to school, hospital, all our partners.
Perfect.
I know it's getting late, that's all I have. Any questions for me?
Any questions for Mike?
Nope.
No? All right, anybody else have anything to add? All right, just a quick update from the county. We're working on that land acquisition project with VOR. It's the Rod and Gun Club, our golf course, softball fields, and the old Broadwater County Poor Farm, that's kind of the same vicinity. And that's moving along actually a lot faster than anyone expected, except we have to do an EA now, so that'll delay a little bit. But Earl Griffin is gonna be doing that for us, you guys know him. So, yeah, that's all we have. Unless you guys have more to offer.
No.
All right. Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
3 months from now, we'll
Yeah.
do it again.
Good.
All
Good to
right.
meet you, Nick.
Yes, very nice to meet you. Yes, that's right, Nick Cordells. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you're welcome to attend. Come on in. You're so busy, you don't have time.
What's your position again, Sean?
Range.
Range, okay.
So next week, I was thinking we'd have a department head meeting about the new personnel policies. Not yet, almost. And also, one of the things that I wanted to do is, goals when it comes to department heads coming to see us at the beginning of budget season. When they give us a first draft of their budget and it's a wish list.
Yes.
It would be great to have goals at that time and to meet with each department head. We can do that in June and maybe May and July. So, if we wanted to plant a seed with our department heads at that time, we certainly could. All right, anything else from you guys for the good of the order?
No, I think we'll tackle that deal and
All right.
good to go.
All right, and the audit, if you want to review that, Debbie can answer any questions. It's not perfect. Never will be
No,
perfect, because
exactly.
we're not perfect. She's looking at a lot of those as opportunities to learn. And some of them are different departments. It's not all the accounting department. But if you see anything in there that, you have concerns about or want to follow up on, please do.
Okay.
All right,
Perfect.
anything else for the good of the order? All right. Feel like how much?
Nope.
Meeting adjourned at 3:09.
Thank you.
I felt like I was rushing.